All right, here we go. So this is our third goal setting workshop. We've done two up to this point every 90 days. If you're part of the Inner Circle program, every 90 days we do these goal setting workshops. And it's been kind of cool because we're starting to now see some momentum and athletes who set goals 9 months ago, hitting these big goals that they had set their sights on. And I'm going to share why that is here in a couple of seconds. I'm going to share why doing goal setting the way that we do it here is so valuable. But I'm grateful that you're on here. I'm grateful that you've taken time to work on yourself, because that's really what this is at the end of the day. It's you working on you so that you can leverage that to be a benefit to other people, whether it's your team or what have you. So without further ado, I want to jump in with a quick story. I was doing goal setting with an athlete. The athletes who are in the one-on-one mindset program, we do this individually and go a little bit deeper. But I was doing goal setting with this teenage athlete, and he said to me, I asked the question, and you're going to be asked this question in a second, how are you different than you were 6 months ago? And he said to me, well, coach, like I'm like night and day difference from 6 months ago. Like the last 6 months of my year, I scored more goals than I've ever scored. I was leading my team. I had assists, and I was just loving the game again. He's like, I said, how did you do that, man? Because like if you were really successful, we're going to want to think about what was it that made you successful and do more of that. He said, I don't know. I have no idea. I said, hey, do you remember 6 months ago what you started doing? 6 months ago, you started thinking about and reflecting on the good things that were happening in your life. You started focusing on the wins and the areas of progress. Because this guy in particular, he had a really difficult coach who was all about, like, what's next? What's next? What's next? We got to get better. Like, don't stay stuck on the past victories. We got to move forward, which I understand that. But he joined our program, and then he started focusing on what he was doing well. Imagine that. And everything changed. And why did it change? Because you feel what you're focused on. And so part of today, part of what we're going to do is actually redirect your focus. Redirect your focus. If you've been frustrated, athlete, if you've been frustrated, if you've been mad at yourself, if you've been beating yourself up, feeling like you're not enough, looking at your other friends who have committed to a college or that are starting over you, if you've been frustrated at all with your progress, you might not have a circumstance issue, you might have a focus issue. And so that's what we're going to do here in a couple seconds. But before we do, the season's coming up, right? So here's some things that could be going through your mind. I just really hope I blank, or you might be in the middle of a season. I really hope I don't blank. What if I blank? What if I don't blank? And I've talked to so many of you athletes, and I know that this is the predominating thought that goes through your mind. And here's the result if that's the case. Lack of belief, if those first two are you, or fear and anxiety, if those last two are you. And so how do you counter that? How do you make that better? How do you fix that? That's why you're here. You're here so that we can work on your mindset so that you can achieve your goals. And so here's the thing, before we get into the goal setting workshop, your brain unfortunately does three things all the time. There's three things that our brains do, whether we like it or not, and it's why we need to stay focused on this kind of stuff that we're working on today. Our brain does three things. Number one, it generalizes. In order to save energy, I don't want to get too much into like some science stuff, but in order to save energy, your brain will generalize things. And how does this show up? Well, imagine you had a bat at bat. Naturally, right, what your brain normally does is it says, see, I always mess up under pressure. Your brain will generalize one experience you've had, or maybe it's happened multiple times, and it'll say things like, I always mess up, or I never perform well under pressure. And that's not always the case. So we got to be careful to believe these lies that we're telling ourselves. The second thing that your brain does is it deletes things. It deletes things. It has to in order to make room for all the other stuff coming in. And so what happens is naturally, if you're not careful, you're only going to recall the times that you messed up and fell short. You don't remember the times that you succeeded. That's what happens if you don't take action on the stuff that we're going to teach you today. And then the last thing that your brain does is it distorts. It's always distorting the truth. Here's an example. Coach didn't mention you when she gave out compliments. Naturally, your brain's going to tell you, She must not believe in me. It's pointless for me to even try. So we got to be careful. That's what our brain does. And this is why, unless you're part of the 0.002% of people, does this ever bother you like it does me? Like there's some people out there, these 0.002%, they're just naturally amazing at dealing with pressure, getting past mistakes quickly, recognizing the truth versus the lies their brain tells them. Like there's some people who are naturally really good at that. I'm not one of them. And so therefore, as this last part says, you're going to have to learn and activate your mindset skills. Some of what we're going to do today, I really hope you do it every week, every month, every quarter, every year, every season, because it's going to make a big difference for you. And you'll start being part of those 0.002% who make these things happen. So brain generalizes, deletes, and distorts the truth all the time. Therefore, we got to take action. So goals. Why do they matter? Why are goals so important? I share this every time we do the goal setting workshop because, it's easy to stop setting goals or stop reading them if you forget why they matter so much. Number one, they give you focus, as we talked about. You feel what you focus on. And so goals, they give you something to aim at. It's really important. Number two, they keep you from the effects or from comparison. If you're staring at your goal, like this little yellow man is staring at that red goal, if you're staring at your goal, you're not looking to the left or to the right. My favorite picture ever is the 2008, I believe, Beijing Olympics, when Chad Leclos, I believe his name is Leclos, from South Africa, I want to say, South Africa. There's an iconic picture of him looking over at Michael Phelps, looking over at him. He wanted to beat him so bad, and he looks over at Michael Phelps. And Michael Phelps, where do you think he was looking? Google this. I should have added the picture, but Google this picture. Just Michael Phelps, Chad Leclos. Michael Phelps was staring straight ahead where he was going. And who do you think won? Of course, Phelps. He always won because he was focused and he had goals, which we're going to hear about in a second. They keep you from comparison. Number three, they protect you from the effects of criticism. Think about this. Or they protect you if you don't get the compliments you really want or deserve. And I feel for some of you guys because like you've been working so hard and coach hasn't been noticing. Coach hasn't been congratulating you or telling you you're doing a good job. And I hate that because it's so easy for a coach to do that, but they miss that all the time. It doesn't mean you're not doing a good job. But let's think about this. Whether coach is giving you criticism or someone else is giving you criticism, or coach isn't giving you compliments, if you have a goal, if you've got something that you are locked in on, you're laser focused on, you're working towards it, it's not going to hurt you as badly when you don't get compliments or when you get criticized. It's going to kind of bounce off you because you're just so locked in. Does that make sense? Number four, they'll propel you forward and they'll keep you motivated when adversity strikes. Some of you guys on this call right now and some of you who will watch the recording, you had a serious injury this year. And your only goal was score a lot of goals this year or make first team all conference. That was your only goal. And that's why you were so disappointed, distraught, discouraged when that injury happened, because you didn't have any long-term goals, which we're going to talk about today, right? Long-term ones that you can keep working towards even when you have short-term setbacks. And you didn't have a wide enough range of goals. It was only that one thing. So we're going to talk through this today. We're going to work on it. Make sure you got your notebooks, your pen, your paper, whatever it is. Make sure you are turning off distractions. Make sure you take the noise away. That noise is going to be there when you get back. No social media checking. That's a commandment. That's a command, right? No social media checking during goal setting workshops. This is really going to serve you guys, and I'm really excited to see what comes from this. So, accomplishing your goals at the end of the day won't lead to long-term happiness. That's always like a little like precursor that I like to say, because number one, true contentment is not about getting more, but it's about being satisfied with greater simplicity and being fulfilled with what you already have. Right? This is something that if it doesn't come naturally to you, it doesn't come naturally to me, you got to practice this as well. And then it's also because the secret to living is giving. Secret to living is giving. I've been thinking a lot about this as the new year is here and everybody's focused on setting goals. And athlete, for you, this is probably one of the first times you've ever really sat down and set goals. It's not necessarily a New Year goal, it's just setting goals. But the temptation is to think that your goals are going to bring you happiness or bring you something that they're not going to bring you. And the truth is that the secret to living is giving. And so as you start to think about your goals today, I really want you to also think about how it's going to help somebody else. How can you set a goal today that is going to benefit your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your coach, your friend, your teammate? That's where you're going to really get motivation to keep going. Because for some reason, when I set goals for myself, I oftentimes will lose motivation. But anytime I set a goal that's to benefit somebody else, I always keep going. So, all right, here we go. Ready to rock and roll. Today, number one, we're going to reflect backwards on the progress you've made. Number two, reflect and set the goals before the goals. If you've been on these workshops before, you know what I'm talking about there. We're going to reflect on progress and then set or reset your BHAG goal. We're going to talk about what a BHAG is. And if you had a 1-year goal from last January, we'll reset a new goal, or maybe you're in the middle of your BHAG right now. And then we will talk about your 90-day goals. So we got a lot to cover. We got to jump in. Here we go.
When you travel to a big meet as the national team, you get there, if it's an international meet, you get there in plenty of time, so you're able to adjust to the time standard or the food or whatever it is. Other than that, there's really not really too much that really plays a big role. I mean, the media is probably a big part. If there's a headline or, I think leading to Athens, the biggest thing was winning 7 gold medals. That was all over the place. All the media was saying that, and I really wanted to win 1, and everyone's like, yeah, okay, whatever. But that was the dead honest truth. When I hear or see things that are said in the media, I try not to even pay attention to them. Everyone talks, and they're there to get attention from people, and I think that's it. But it's like you said, I have goals, and when I want to do something, it's about what I want to do. It's not what someone else wants me to do. And if I come short, then I'm going to readjust my goals and hopefully get there sometime in the future. But I try not to really pay attention to anyone else's expectations. I think my coach and I have the goals that we want to accomplish, and we go from step to step, and hopefully we get there.
Come on, boys, last 200.
I can only control myself. I can't control what anyone else says or does. So, yeah, it's just me sort of getting up there and just doing what I want to do. I've done this for, it's my 10th year, really setting goals and trying to achieve them. That, I trust the teamwork between Bob and I to get there, and I trust the goals that I make and the judgment that I have.
So amongst a lot of other things, I'm curious to know what you got out of that. Type it in the chat if you have something that you took from that message. There were so many good things that Michael Phelps said right there. One of those things was that goals must be your goals. Have you ever asked yourself, like, are my goals even my goals? Like at this point, like, are they my mom's goals? Are they my teammates' goal? And they said it and it sounded good, so I made it my goal too, to get to college, even though I don't know if I want to play college sports. Is it your coach's goals for you? It's not bad to want to achieve what somebody else wants for you, right? That's not bad as long as it benefits both parties and it doesn't harm anybody. But man, like as we go through here today, I want to encourage you, athlete, like make these goals your goals. Make them your goals. The other thing he said was that 10 years he's been doing this. 10 years, which tells me that if this is your first or second or third goal setting workshop and you've been at this for 0 days or 1 year, like keep going. It definitely works, right? It's a proven way to become more. And the cool thing about achieving goals is who you become along the way. But he said so many good things there. I'll send out that video again. I sent it out maybe 6 months ago. Check your emails. I'll send this out again here in the next couple weeks. but goals must be your goals. And so there's a goal, or there's something we have to do before we set goals, though, which is look backwards to learn how to look forwards. We're going to go big picture, which we always do, and you'll see why in a minute. I want you to quickly grab your pen, your paper. This is when you start taking notes. And I want you to write out, every person on the call, parents, coaches, athletes, write out, what are the 5 things in my life that I am the most proud of? The 5 things in my life that I'm the most proud of. Maybe it's the adversity you've overcome, becoming a starter or a captain, maybe the progress that you've made as an athlete, a student, or a person. Maybe you can really think about I have really grown in my confidence, or I have really grown in my patience with myself or with my coaches or with my, there's progress somewhere. Maybe it's the teammates you have helped you're most proud of, the brother or sister you've been. I want you to think about your life, not just sports. Think about your whole life. Sports are a part of that. What are 5 things in your life you're most proud of? You've got 60 seconds to write those out and then revisit this after the workshop today. Please do. 60 seconds. What are 5 things that you're most proud of? Type them out, write them out, drop them in the chat when you get a second. Drop one of them in the chat. Maybe it's a specific moment, a game that you had last year. So many things you could be proud of. If you're just joining, we're writing out 5 things in our lives that we are the most proud of. Take about 30 more seconds. How does it feel to write that down? Does it feel good? Does it feel like you're being cocky? Does it feel like, what's it feel like? 5 things you're most proud of. This is one that I have to do every year. Once a year, I do this to remind myself what's most important. Next, how are you better or different than you were a year ago? Think back to 1/1/23, January 1st, 2023, a whole year ago. You were in a different grade. You may have been on a different team. There's a lot that happened last year. How are you better or different than you were 1 year ago? What are 5 wins? What did you accomplish, make progress on? Maybe it was your skills, your technique, and be specific, by the way. I listed out generic things, but I want you to be specific with what skill was it that you got better at? What was the technique you improved on? Maybe it's how you handled adversity. Maybe your communication with your coaches. Maybe you had a really brave conversation with one of your coaches. Make sure you write their name out, right? Be specific with this. Maybe it was your mindset. Maybe it was your leadership. You started being more encouraging to teammates. I know a lot of y'all made progress here. You may not be perfect, and don't confuse the question. This isn't where you were perfect. This is where did you make progress? Attitude, right? My attitude in 2023, I think I made progress with my attitude personally. My effort, your performance under pressure. Did you score more goals this year? Did you have more assists this year than last year? Feel free to write out your specific accomplishments in terms of your stats, right? What did you do better this year than last year? Maybe you played against better competition. Take a note of that, but you still maintained your performance or you improved even. Playing against better competition alone would be an area to note of your progress. Maybe it's your ability to overcome mistakes, your pregame routines. Take another 30 seconds. How did you make progress in the last year? Celebrate it. Own it. Don't stay there, right? We don't want to stay the same, but feel what it feels like to be proud of yourself for those things. How are you better or different? Great job. Great job. Keep that going. All right. You're going to keep rolling right into the next one. How are you better or different than you were 3 months ago? Just think back to October 1st, roughly, of 2023, just a few months ago. Here's the cool thing, guys. It's impossible to be the same as you were 3 months ago. Impossible. You are not the same person. What are some wins? What are some areas of accomplishment? Write them down. Think about them. Write them down. Come on. Where was it? Where did you make progress? How did you grow? It would be a big mistake to go set new goals for the next year or the next 90 days before you think back on where did you make progress in the last 90 days or the last year? Because how are you supposed to know where you want to grow, right? Like you got to do this work first. And this is the work that, man, it feels good. I want you to pat yourself on the back. Literally, I know I can't see you, but pat yourself on the back as you're doing this. Give yourself a little round of applause because I'm telling you, I used to be the worst at this, man. I never focused on the past and what I did well. And if you don't do this, think about my first couple of things that I talked about today. If you don't do this, your brain will generalize, it'll distort, and it'll delete out all of the good because what do your coaches, for the most part, always ask you and tell you? Focus on getting better. Focus on the next thing. Focus on the future. And it's such a tragedy because this is the work that actually gives you confidence when you look at it and you're like, dang, I crushed it last season. I scored more goals. I got better in my leadership. Like, this is the type of stuff that actually gives you confidence for the future so you can accomplish and be more instead of just a perfectionist like I still am and used to be way bigger, only ever focusing on where I fell short or what I didn't do well. So great job. Proud of you as we start to move forward into what's ahead. The goal before the goals. There's a really important goal that you must set before you set the goals that you thought you were going to set today, which you will, but it's called a becoming goal. If you want to have more, you got to become more. And so a becoming goal is more about your character, more about who you are as a person, and it's what helps you achieve the bigger goals. I'll give you an example. You're going to start to think about this and write down who you want to become and why it matters. But here's an example. I was working with an athlete who really wanted to become a dominant player this upcoming season. Lacrosse player, wanted to become more dominant, right? And for him, that meant like being able to take over in the fourth quarter, be able to control the game a little bit more, score a little bit more easily. And the problem is that his coaches told him over and over again, I'm not going to say his name, but I'll make his name up. John, you hold back too much, man. Like you play too passively. It's like you're a little scared, like you're scared to mess up maybe, like I don't know what it is, but like you're not aggressive enough. And you see the word aggressive on this screen. Before John was going to accomplish his goal of being more dominant, he needed to first become a more aggressive person. And so he wrote it down in a workshop just like this. He wrote it down and said, I am aggressive. And that's how you want to phrase these, by the way. You're not going to write down, I would like to maybe kind of sort of become more aggressive someday. That'd be really cool and stuff. Like, no. Like, write down, I am aggressive. I am aggressive. I am aggressive. And then what John did was he read it every single day. And he didn't just read it. He closed his eyes and he imagined, and this is something we do in inner circle sessions, so we're not going to do it today, but he closed his eyes and visualized himself being aggressive. He used to close his eyes and only see the passive John because that's all he used to be able to see. And that's what his coaches always told him. By the way, parents, whoever like your athlete is today, we don't want to reinforce it by telling them you are too passive. You hold back too much. No. Start speaking into existence what we want them to become, which is, I am aggressive. I am aggressive. I am becoming aggressive, if that's easier for you to think about. But what else on this list for you? Is it patient? Is it like, are you the kind of person that you want to be a team captain? but you haven't been encouraging to people. You haven't been really speaking encouragement to your teammates. Hey, John, hey, I saw how hard you worked out there today, man. Great job. Hey, Sarah, I saw how you missed that shot, but you kept your head up. Great job. Like, that's what leaders do. And so if your goal, let's say, as we get to goals, is to be a great leader, then your word might be encourager. I want to become a more encouraging person. So you should have had time by now to think about your becoming goal. Who do you want to become more of? I encourage you to only pick 2 or 3 tops, and write down why. Right? For John, man, he wanted to become more aggressive because he was so sick of hearing from his parents that he was too passive and his coaches not putting him in the game in the fourth quarter, in crunch time, in the second half rather, because he wasn't aggressive enough. He got so sick of it, and so that was his why. All right, so you guys got your becoming goals. Cannot emphasize how important this is for you. And then we're going to shift into BHAG. Shift into BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. I got to, those of you who have been on these in the past, I searched and searched for a better video than the one that y'all saw last time, but I just couldn't find one. It's just too perfect. But I did give another example of a BHAG, so you'll see a new example, but we're going to share the same video. So your big, hairy, audacious goal, it's going to be something 1 year away or further if you want, but at least 1 year away that scares you, challenges your belief in yourself, right? Like your brain immediately, when you set this goal, is going to say, yeah, but how are you going to do that? How do you think you're going to really accomplish that? And that's how you know you got a good BHAG. That's how you know. It's going to pull you to push past adversity. It's meant to keep you going, by the way, not to stress you out because it's unattainable. Sometimes I set goals with athletes and they set this big goal and then they just get so stressed, right? And it's like, hold on, you just said it today. Like tomorrow is the first step towards a journey of 1,000 miles, right? Like let's eat this elephant one bite at a time. But no, like some people, they get stressed out. This goal is just meant to keep you going past the tough times because it's a big goal. It's this whole like, man, when I get here, it's going to feel so good. I'm so excited just thinking about hitting this goal. So there's a what, which is the goal. There's a why, and then there's a how. I told many of you guys, your parents, coaches, that this workshop is called advanced goal setting. Advanced goal setting. It's not just like come here and write some stuff down on paper and then hope and wish it comes true. No, like this is the stuff that professional athletes get help with. This is the stuff that the best in the world, the Olympians, get help with because, man, this is a different level of goal setting, as I'm sure you're starting to realize. So what's the thing that you're working towards, or maybe you've been working towards it for a while now, that just really excites you? It pumps you up. You don't know how you're going to accomplish it, but you really want it. Making the A team, transforming the culture of your team, becoming a captain, playing college sports, making first team all conference, going D1, or nailing a 900.
Never before in history competition have we seen a 900. 900! Oh! You guys want to see the 900?
Tony was either gonna make it or kill himself trying.
900 with him is 10 years deep.
Trying it so many times, I started to feel like this could be the ultimate disappointment, you know, if I just can't do it. So that's why I was willing to just stick it at any cost, you know, if it meant that I was going to get taken out and taken to the hospital. So be it, you know, it was worth the effort.
I think it was a conscious decision, like, okay, everybody stop skating, let Tony try and make this. We all just wanted to get behind him and see him do it.
Tony Hawk! Tony Hawk! Tony Hawk! 900! 900! Oh,
come on.
No
Come on.
way.
Crowd wanting to see something spectacular, the whole other side of the skateboard community, knowing that this is history, this is something very special. They all wanted to see him make it as much as he wanted to make it.
9.
Let's go!
Tony Hawk, everybody!
Do you want that feeling? Hands up in the air, that feeling of accomplishment. You got to pick something big that scares you a little bit. Guys, 10 years this thing served as his BHAG. 10 years. I mean, why do you think he trained so hard? Why do you think he pushed past all the adversity? He had something that excited him. It was bigger than him. It was a big goal. And so you might not have something that's like win the Olympics, right? Like, I'm not asking you to set that goal. We want to take one small step today towards making a BHAG. That's why I said it could be just 1 year away. 1 year away. Here's another great example. Lisa Bentley. My goal was to win an Ironman. I did that in New Zealand in 2000, and I was over the moon. Opportunities arose from my win, and that win catapulted me on the Ironman stage as one of the favorites. I loved being an Ironman champion. Then again, in 2001, I returned and won the Ironman New Zealand. She was an 11-time Ironman champion and the author of a book, all because she started setting some big goals that she had zero clue she could accomplish or how she was going to accomplish them. But there was something inside of her that said, I really want this. And here's the cool thing about both Lisa and Tony Hawk. It didn't just benefit them. It inspired a bunch of other people along the way, which is that secret to living is giving thing we talked about before. So I want you to take 60 seconds. I know it's not really enough time to set your true BHAG, but take 60 seconds to get the process started. What's a goal 1 year out or further that pumps you up? And if your BHAG is still relevant from a previous goal setting workshop, write it down again and write down the progress you've made towards it, as well as the progress you want to make on it in this upcoming year. In the next year, I want to get 2 offers to play sports in college. In the next year, I want to become the captain of my team. In the next year, what is it? What do you want? I want to make that team that cut me last year. Woo! That's a good one. I like that. A little revenge. No, not really. So what is your BHAG, though, for you? Think about it. I want to dunk in a basketball game. I want to hit a grand slam. I want to have a walk-off home run. Maybe it's simpler. Maybe it's different. Maybe something that is huge for you right now is just to restore your passion and your joy for sports again and to love it like you used to. This doesn't have to be a quantitative goal with numbers and doesn't have to be this huge, it's yours, remember. Let's go back to Michael Phelps, right? Like, this goal has to be yours. What makes a difference for you? What actually means something to you? Because again, like, if you don't have a good why, we're going to talk about that in a second, then the goal is meaningless. It's not going to work. This has got to be something that really matters and makes a difference for you and others. What's your BHAG? I can't wait to hear some of y'all's. Get ready. I want you to put it in the chat here as you're starting to get it. Either the chat function is not working or you guys haven't been following the instructions from the first couple of prompts I gave you. Drop your BHAG in here. One of the best ways to accomplish goals I've ever learned is to make them public. As soon as you start to put them out there, and if you can like overcome that feeling of like, what if they like laugh at me? I mean, come on now. You think Michael Phelps waited until he won an Olympic gold medal to start telling people that he wanted to win an Olympic gold medal? No, he didn't wait until he did it. He started telling people, this is what I want to achieve and this is why. So I want every person here to put your BHAG in the chat, even if it changes, even if it's not perfect yet. I want you to drop it in there as soon as you have it. I want to dominate. First person got the ball rolling. Dominate. Okay, that's your BHAG. How are you going to know that you achieved that? That's my only question. How are you going to know? Declan says, I want to go as far as I can in the marching band, possibly to the DCI level. That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Make varsity in my freshman year next year in high school. Have offers to play baseball in college. Win my first amateur fight. Okay. These are good. I want to hit over 400. I want to change the culture of my team. I want to dominate on the lacrosse team. These are solid, guys. These are solid. If you haven't put it in there yet, go ahead and put it in there. But man, this is a BHAG. Okay, so you check the box. You got a BHAG, which is great. But ask yourself this question: do other people have this BHAG too? Why is it that so few people achieve it though? Like, if everybody has similar goals, why is it that so few people achieve it? We're going to talk about that. It's the why. It's the why behind it. Here we go. I'm going to share a couple examples. But first, why do you want this? Why does it matter? Is it only about status? Is this only about proving people wrong? If so, I don't know if you're going to fully accomplish it. It's got to be more than that. What's the feeling you're really after? Man, I just want to, I can't wait until I walk into my house and open that letter and I see the acceptance letter for college sports. It's going to feel so good knowing that all this work that I've put in, it got me to my goal. Like, I can't wait until I feel that accomplishment. What's the feeling you're really after? What kind of difference will this make for you or for others? If your why isn't strong enough, you probably won't find a way. And so here is Sarah. I shared this example in a previous workshop. Sarah is a swimmer that we worked with, and it was very simple. She wanted to break 1 minute in her 100-meter fly. Very simple goal. Big goal, but simple. Other people had that goal too, but not everybody else achieved it. And it's because, listen to her why. It's my challenge. It's going to push me to stay committed and consistent. It's not about being the best. It's not about being better than others. This is about pushing myself. I want that feeling of accomplishment, being proud of myself. I love creating an atmosphere for myself and others. And she was referring to her parents and her siblings, where they get excited to see me go for big goals. If I don't hit it, it's not the end of the world. For me, this is about pushing towards a goal that will make me a better version of myself in the process. That was a strong why. She had a strong why, and she read it every day. Does your what have a strong enough why? I want to dominate on the lacrosse field. Why? I want to get as far as I can in marching band. Why? I want to transform the culture of my team. Why? Why is that important? Here's Sam's why, or Sam's what. Number one, it's a two-parter. He wanted to get an offer to play for a D1 lacrosse team. And then also, he wanted to select a team that shared his values with a great coach and culture. So it was a two-parter. He really wanted to pick a team that shared the culture, but he wanted to get the offer for D1 at least. Why? It's been my dream since I was 8 years old to get a D1 offer, and I still have that drive inside me. Getting a D1 offer would feel good, but I know that being part of a team where I have a great coach and the culture is encouraging will feel even better. I want both so that A, I can inspire younger players and motivate them with the D1 offer, but B, show them that what really matters most is not status. He really thought this one through, really thought about all the layers and implications of it. And when he read his why, it made him want to cry. Not really, but it rhymed. Something like that, right? He read his why, and it reminded him, like, this is why this goal matters. Because if all you do is read your goal, I mean, you're just not going to always push past all the challenging times that come up. So for you, I want you to think about, what is your goal, right? What is your BHAG and why do you want it? Go ahead and write down your why. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes on this. I really want you to spend 2 minutes thinking about your why. Here's Sam. Here's Sarah. You can take a little screenshot of that if you want. Take a picture on your phone if you want to use it as kind of motivation for you as you write down your why. But go ahead and write down your what, like I have right here. Write down whatever yours is, and then your why. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I've done enough of these one-on-one, these mindset goal setting sessions one-on-one to know that this is really hard for some of you. Like it's hard for you to really think about this because you've never done it before. Don't worry about having the perfect answer. Get out of your head and into your heart. Some of y'all need to do that on the field a lot more too. Get out of your head and get into your heart, right? What really matters to you and why? Why is this goal important? Go ahead and write it down. Write it down. Give you another minute or two. Another minute. Zachary shared his why. Be the first in his family to win his first fight. And why is that important? Why is it important that you're the first in your family? Go one layer deeper. Why is it so important to you? What's that going to do for you? What's it going to feel like? Going out on the field in that championship would make me feel so proud of myself. It would feel so good coming off the field and realizing how much progress I had made this year. That's a strong why. You got to test it, right? You got to test it and see, like, is this going to actually pass the test? Is it a good enough why? All right, take another 30 seconds. Finish this one up. This is the BHAG, right? So we're zoomed out right now. We're thinking 1 year away, which is awesome. Right? It's exciting to pick a big goal. All right. So we're not going to actually spend a lot of time on the how today because honestly, you probably need a parent there with you or a coach there with you. Or if you are in the mindset program, make sure you reach out to me and we do this together. With one of our mindset coaches, we work on the how. This is the game plan to accomplish your goal. This is where it gets pretty cool and serious, right? There's your goal at the top, your big goal. Then there's a couple of pillars, these big things that have to be true for you to hold that belief up, that goal up in the air. Just like a pillar holds up a house, there are pillars that hold up your goal and make it real. Pillar one, for example, could be your physical performance enhancement. Like, Andrew, I just got to flat out get stronger. If I don't get physically stronger, I'm not going to be able to compete and win my first fight, or I'm not going to be able to, whatever the goal is, right? So that might be one pillar. Pillar two might be your mindset, right? It might be your mental game. Like, that's what holds you back. Pillar three, I don't know, it could be your community, right? I've had some athletes who set a goal and then they're like, you know what? If I don't start spending more time around athletes who have been there, done that, if I don't get around people who have achieved what I want to achieve, I'm probably not going to achieve my goal, right? So their pillar was more about community and social support, right? Finding other rock stars who are crushing it to come alongside of them. And then underneath each of these pillars, there's usually 2 or 3 or maybe 4 weekly action steps that you'll need to take consistently. Not once, not just in January, not just in February, but consistently. You're going to have to keep lining these dominoes up and knocking them down. And if you do it long enough, you will achieve your what? I promise you. Almost anyone can accomplish anything if they work at it long enough, smart enough, and hard enough. Almost anyone can accomplish anything if they work at it long enough, smart enough, and hard enough. And so you see the examples there, right? My physical performance needs to improve. Therefore, I will strength train 4 days a week. I'll get a private hitting coach. And 6 days a week, I'm committed to eating clean. And then, of course, the same thing is true for the other pillars. And that's the how. Okay, we got to move on and zoom right into your 90-day goals. 90-day goals. This is what in the next 90 days, this season, right, between January 15th and April 15th, by the time we come back together, Coach Andrew, April 15th, I can't wait to show you all these things that are true that weren't true on January 15th. That's what we're going to set up right here. So there are 3 types of goals we're going to set: survive, succeed, and transform goals. I'll walk you through what each of those mean here in a second. There was an athlete talking about transform goals. There's an athlete that we work with, and her goal was her transform goal, which is kind of like a BHAG, but in 90 days. Her transform goal was to make it on SportsCenter Top 10 Plays. She's like, Coach Andrew, I've never been on SportsCenter Top 10 Plays. I don't even know like if there's an application or something you have to fill out. Like, I don't even know what it looks like, but I'm just going to write it down as my transform goal. And here's what happened.
0-2 from Keeney, driven to right field. At the wall, and
Yeah.
what a play.
So she ended up getting on SportsCenter Top 10 Goals for her transform goal, and she accomplished it. But to start, you're going to actually think about your survive goals. These are the bare minimum goals that need to happen. So on your paper, you can have 3 columns if you want, 3 separate columns all side by side. At the top, you can write survive, middle column is succeed, and then the third column is transform. Or you can do it up and down the paper, doesn't matter to me. But survive goals are interesting because it's like nobody wants to set a survive goal, but it's necessary because they give you a baseline to build off of. I mean, they're not inspiring, right? Like, I just want to barely survive this year. Not literally, right? But like, you know, based on what you accomplish, it's like barely surviving. It's not exciting, but it's good to give you a baseline. So think about real quick, what happened last season, right? Between October and December, or whenever your last sports season was, what happened? What would it look like for you to just maintain or barely make progress over the next 90 days? Sometimes you're going to have those seasons that, like, man, it just didn't go as you planned. You didn't necessarily take steps backward, but you really didn't take steps forward. And it's okay, right? Survive goals are okay to have. What's the minimum that must be true for you to feel like you just survived? Here's some examples. But the tough thing is with survive with examples is what's a survive goal for one person might be a succeed goal for another person. You follow me? Like, it all depends on what happened last season or kind of where you're at right now, given your circumstances. So it could be stay mentally healthy. Just don't have any panic attacks. If that happens this year, that would be like surviving for me. You know what, this year, if I just make the team and I'm part of it this year, that's surviving. Right? Because last year, you know, I didn't make the team, or last year I did make the team and I was part of it, but I didn't really succeed. If I just did that again this year, that's cool with me, right? That's like barely surviving. It's not really cool with me, but it's surviving. Just maintaining a 200 batting average, right? Be specific with these. Don't just steal my examples. I'll say that again. Be specific with these. Don't just steal my examples. You know, I just maintained the same GPA I got last school year, or I just maintained a 200 batting average, or you know what? Last basketball season, I averaged 5 points a game and 2 rebounds. This year, if I just average 6 and 3 or 5 and 2 again, like, I'm good with it. It's cool. Whatever. I got through the season without quitting, right? Based on what happened last year, I was at my wit's end. I barely got through the season. If I just get through the season again this year without quitting, I won't feel successful, but it would be surviving. Again, these are not your big goals, guys. These are just like survive goals. I know it's painful to set these types of goals, but it's helpful. It's a lot of adjusts. So take, 15, 20 seconds. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here because what we're going to do is, as we shift to succeed goals, you're going to probably think of more survive goals to write down in this column. So what's 1 or 2 survive goals? Get maybe 1 or 2 on paper. What would it look like for you to barely survive this year? Keep that pen flowing. Keep that pen flowing. Succeed goals. These are the ones that, man, if this was true by the end of the season, it wouldn't be like out of this world, unbelievable. Like, it wouldn't be like that crazy, but man, it would feel really good, right? If I bat 300 this year, or if I win a couple of fights, right? If I win 2 fights in my upcoming year, or if I win my race, if I win one race this year, it would be success because last year I didn't win any. They're largely within your control, and they should be based around what you really care about this year. They're going to take some serious effort on your part, but they're definitely possible. Here's some examples. I make varsity. I find my role. I contribute. I PR in a race. I start in half the games or more this year. I build a bond. Here's a cool succeed goal. If communication and relationships are important to you, I build a bond with 3 of my teammates and my coaches. I start to communicate more courageously instead of holding back. I achieve 2 new skills. I get accepted into one big meet. Maybe success for you is no matter what happens, I keep a positive outlook and attitude, and I keep my effort high. Last year, man, coach was rough, teammates were rough, but I let my attitude slip, and I stopped giving my best effort, and I regretted it. This year, success to me would be no matter what happens, I keep a positive outlook and attitude. Success would be that I get over mistakes faster. I respond to difficult situations like a leader. I make an all-conference team. I lead the team this year. I'm the person that's constantly helping others rise up. I increase my goals scored by X. Maybe, here's an interesting one based on your circumstances. This year I'm playing up, right? I'm a 9th grader playing on varsity, or I'm an 8th grader playing with older kids. And since I'm playing with better competition, success for me this year would be to just make the team, or to get a starting role, or to play in a game. I just want to play in one game. I'm playing up this year, right? Like if I play in one game, that would be success. Can you see how this is like really important to get specific to where you're at right now and to think about, given my circumstances and what happened last year, what would success be this year? So take a few seconds, look at those succeed goals. I'm going to spend about a minute here. We're going to wrap up here in about 7 or so minutes. We're going to wrap up for the day, and then it's go time. Then you start working on your goals. But let's finish strong here. We got succeed goals and then transform. What would success be for you? Imagine you and I, or you and your mom or dad, are having this conversation in 3 months, 90 days. What would you feel really good about? Like, gosh, mom, dad, like it was a great year, great season, a great 90 days. I did X, I accomplished X. And as you write these down, make sure you write them down personalized to you. Don't just say, got 2 new skills, won a fight, started in a game. Write down, I started in a game. I batted 300. I helped 3 other teammates improve their skills. What would success look like for you? Feel free to revisit this, come back to it. You know what to do now, so you can spend more time on this. Lastly, the transform goals. Guys, these are the goals that like all the stars aligned. Like as you set these, you're like, I don't know how on earth this would be possible, but it would just be really amazing if in 90 days I accomplished this. It would be insane. And here's the thing about not succeed goals, that should say transform goals. They're mostly outside of your control. You're probably going to need a little luck, some grace, some divine intervention to achieve them. Here's some examples. And again, it's so relative to you, right? I start in every game despite having older athletes above me in my position. A perfect 10 score in an event. I score a touchdown off a fumble recovery. I win 90% of my matches. I hit a grand slam, a walk-off home run. I score in half the games. We win the World Series. Assists, scoring goals that are way beyond what you could have imagined. You got a personal record in 3 out of 4 races. You earned first team all conference. Guys, have fun with this one, man. Dream a little bit. People aren't dreaming anymore. They're not setting goals. They're just in their head about what their past tells them. Your past mistakes or failures don't define your future victories or successes. What are those transform goals for you? Write them down, write them down. This is the cool stuff that, man, whether you're a kid, an adult, college student, doesn't matter. It's Valuable for all of us. What does transforming look like? That's something big. Hey, real quick, put it in the chat. If you have 1 or 2 transform goals, these are fun. I'd love to see them. Drop your transform goal into the chat real quick. Public commitments, make it real. What is it for you? Type it out. Type it out. Put it in the chat. Come on, don't be afraid to go first. There we go. Led my team to a spring season championship. Win every fight by knockout. I love that one. That's a good one. That's letting your brain really go crazy and get big. That's good. Who else has one? Win the entire baseball championship in a 16U championship. Okay. Very cool. So we've got becoming goals. We've got a BHAG. We have 90-day goals. We know why we want to achieve those things. Most important, right? Know your why. Here's what your next challenge is going to be. Staying focused on these goals. I don't know if you're like me, but I'll sometimes write down goals and then it's like I don't look at them again. I'm just like basically then just wishing and hoping, right? Every 30 days, I really want you to look at and assess yourself. Every day you should read these goals, but every 30 days, assess yourself. Prioritize your becoming goals over your achievement goals. You got to have the right mindset, the belief, the confidence, and the discipline to achieve them. Because like I said, anybody can achieve anything if they work at it long enough, hard enough, smart enough. The key is most people don't do any of those 3. And then lastly, consistency, or maybe second to last thing. Repetition is the mother of skill. So being consistent as you work on the action steps day to day. And then you got to set new ones, right? In 90 days, make this a discipline and not a one-time thing. Make this a discipline, not just a one-time goal-setting thing. We got to do this again in 90 days. And so, Winning Athlete Mindset Program, not a big sales thing, right? So if you're the athlete that's here, do not scan that QR code or do, but like don't go use your mom's credit card or anything to sign yourself up. The Winning Athlete Mindset Program, it has proven to be really beneficial and super cost effective. If you're on a budget, if you're wanting to get your athlete some serious coaching to help them with their mindset and their belief in themselves and their confidence, if you're the athlete who knows how important the mental game is, this program has just proven to be one of the best things that we've ever done. It's 1 time a month. You get the mindset and success training live, just like this, 1 time a month. You get access to all of our past trainings, everyone we've ever done. Quarterly, you get this goal setting workshop. And then you get copies of both my books, audio and ebook versions. And you also get a chance to become part of our one-on-one Mindset Performance Academy if you want to do the one-on-one route. And all of that, it's $29 a month. You can cancel at any time. If you're someone that is struggling, you can't pay for this kind of thing, or if your parents are like already saying like we're spending a lot on sports and we can't do it, just talk to me. Right? Talk to me. We've got a way for everybody to be part of this, but it's free for 30 days anyway. So you can scan the QR code, show it to mom and dad, let them know if today was valuable for you, if it was helpful in any way, and you want to see what another one is like, because I promise you, they're all good. They're all valuable. We put our heart and soul into these. Scan the QR code, join the program for 30 days, see if you like it. If not, just shoot us an email and we'll cancel it. But my hope for you is that you go into the storms. All right, be the buffalo, go into the storms that are going to come your way when you start to achieve your goals. You're going to have people that laugh at you. You're going to have people that question you. You're going to have people that say you could never achieve that. You could never accomplish that. And that's the storm, right? It wants you to run away from it. That's what a cow does. Buffaloes are very different. They run into the storm. And so take a picture of that, write it on your mirror, or write it on a piece of paper rather, and stick it on your mirror. And guys, I'm proud of you for leaning in today. Go out, start working towards those goals, and let me know if there's any way I can help you along your journey. Great job today. Thumbs up, fist bump, boom. Go out and go sledding if you're on the East Coast here. See you guys soon.